Hello again, welcome to another video. I'm going to do a very simple painting. It's been a long time since I've done any painting, probably 4 or 5 months ago actually. Today I want to do one, just a small, as you can see, a small canvas, but keeping it very simple. I tend to be very controlling over the colours and the look of the painting. In other words, if I'm painting a tree, I want it to look like leaves, individual leaves almost, instead of trying to keep it loose and let the eyes do what they're supposed to do and what they're programmed to do, the eyes and the brain, which is to form an image from suggestion on paper or on canvas. So I've been trawling through some old photographs and I've come up with a couple. And this is one taken probably a couple of years ago now, a couple of summers ago. I believe it's somewhere in Cambridgeshire, but I could be wrong. It could be Norfolk. My friend Claire will correct me. But it's a very simple composition. It's got trees in the background. It's got this remains of a windmill, which actually is an old flour mill, in the background there. It's got a nice lake with a very gentle, very subtle reflection on it, and in the foreground just some very simple undergrowth, some flowers and weeds, etc. And I thought, well, I'll try and do something with this, try and keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it, don't overcolorize it. I'm a great one as well for oversaturating the colours instead of making them a bit more natural looking. I don't know, maybe that's just my style and I can't do anything about it. It might be a very subconscious thing. So, and here I am faced with this daunting thing that I face with every new painting, a blank canvas. Is there anything more scary than that? Anyway, let's see how we get on. And just one thing I forgot to mention, also for this painting, I'm going to restrict my brushes that I use on the painting. Instead of using a whole array of brushes as you've seen me use in the past, I'm restricting it very much to these, mainly the filbert brushes and the fan brush in the middle. And I'm going to try and keep it to this. It forces you to sort of make looser strokes, to use the paint in a much looser way, unlike the other brushes where you can use lots of fine details and use the very tip of the brush to put detail in. So this is my challenge for this painting. So for the background, I think I'm going to keep it very simple. It was a very, very unexciting day weather-wise. There was a few wispy blue clouds, blue sky but mainly clouds. So as per usual, I'm just going to do a very loose background, but I'm not going to. Again, there won't be much of the sky showing at the end, so I'm not too concerned. Now, I'm going to be a bit bolder now, because what I'm going to do is the bits where there is lots of foliage in the background, I'm going to just darken it up a bit. So I'm just putting on, just to give me an initial sense of perspective. This is very much just to give me a focal point for my own use, really, just to give me a focal point and perspective for the rest of the painting. I just wanted to put something on, something fairly central, little. And I'm just going to start on the structure in the background, which is really weird. It's going to blend in with the background, so I've got to make it a bit darker somehow. Okay, which brush to pick? I'll try this one. I'm going to do the roof. Okay, so I've just done the roof tiles. I've done a suggestion of the sort of the wavy tiles simply by getting the palette knife. I suppose I'm breaking my rules a little bit. Just using the palette knife and just scraping off some of the paint. I'll go over that with a very light wash to make it look a bit less obvious. To make it a bit more subtle, actually, because it's, of course, it's not as blatant as that. It's just to give a suggestion of the tiles. Okay, so next, I suppose, is now I can start putting on more of the foliage, and then take it from there. To keep it trying to keep the brush loose. This is really the background colour, so it's the dark, if you like, the dark inner part of the tree that's going on. It still has a certain amount of transparency, but right. Well, I've got the basics of the painting in place, apart from the reflection on the water. But I can see what's going on now, so that gives me an idea of, what comes next. Let's start. I'm going to start putting on just a few little subtle highlights onto the trees. Okay. Now obviously this is going to be the water at the bottom here, and I'm going to need a bit of drying period now, so I'm going to let that dry for a bit, get that wash dry. It's just to provide a little bit of background colour to the water, but actually it's going to be much more contrasty than that, but that's a start anyway. So I'm going to have a little break now. I'm going to let what's on the canvas just dry, because there's too much blending going on, which I don't really want at the moment. I want a bit more. Here I am coming back to that word control again. I was trying to be a bit looser with this one. I didn't get very far with that. Anyway, I'm going to let it dry a bit, and then I'm going to add more reflections in the water, just tidy up some of the foliage there, and take it from there. Right, well I think I'm going to call it a day for the first part of the painting. I've sort of I've done all I wanted to do at this point. I'm starting to get a wee bit it's starting to get a bit messy because a lot of the paint is still wet. So I think I'm going to leave it. There's lots I need to work on, including some of the foliage. The reflection is very rudimentary at the moment. It needs lots of layers on there. I need to tidy up this. The sky's a bit, I don't know. I'm very tempted to put a nice big cloud in there, but maybe I shouldn't. But at this stage I'm going to leave it and then decide what I'm going to do with it, and finish it tomorrow. So hopefully by this time tomorrow it'll all be finished. Well, day 2 of the painting, and there's been a little bit of a change in it. I went online last night because I was trying to find out what the name of this mill actually is, and it's called Denver Mill, and it's in Norfolk. It's near where my friend Claire lives. Now, at the time that the photograph was taken that this painting comes from, they were actually in the process of renovating the mill, and since then I found a photograph online of the windmill as it looks now, and as you can see it's adorned with all these wonderful sails on. And I thought, well, do you know, I think I'm going to add it to the painting. I might be ashamed not to put it in its current state. So that's what I'm going to do. So although I said I wasn't going to get fiddly and bogged down with this, I can't help myself. What can I say? So that's the addition I'm going to do today. I'm going to draw something on pencil first, because it's going to have to be very accurate if you're drawing sails which require straight lines, etc. Otherwise the whole thing will just look a mess. So that's the first process of the day. Oh, blimey. I'm going to change these. This doesn't strike me as looking very sort of well, I think they're supposed to be like bamboos or something. That's what they look like. They look like bamboos. And it's not very bamboo-y like here, so I'm just going to put a bit of contrast in there. Just added a wee bit more texture to the windmill, so I think it looks better with the seals on it. Just needs tidying up a bit. I've just added a few more touches to the foliage, to the trees, to try and give that a wee bit more texture as well. I don't know what I've done to the reflection on the water, but I'm not happy with it. It looks awful. So I'm going to come back and when the paint dries, I'm just going to have a little look at that. But it's all starting to take shape, so hopefully another couple of hours and it'll all be finished, I hope. But so far so good, I think. This thing's really annoying me. This keeps shaking. It's because one of the screws isn't working properly, so I can't fix it. It's not staying stable, so all you get is this annoying rattle. That's a bit better. Going to be very loose in style. I'm not going to get too bogged down in detail, and here I am with the finest paintbrush that I've got in my arsenal, putting on the finest of detail on stuff, so I can't help myself. Put a few little lines on there. Just to make it absolutely clear that it is water. Right, so I'm going to have a natural pause in the whole process at the moment. I'm just sort of looking at it now to think what else I can do. Bear in mind, of course, I'm up close, so I'm noticing every little detail. So I'm going to stand back from it just for a minute and have a look and see where to take it from here. Right, I think I've taken it as far as I'm happy to at the moment. I'm afraid of, it's the usual story with me, I'm afraid of overworking stuff and then regretting what I've done instead of just leaving it as it is. So I'm going to leave it now. There's still a few little bits in it that I'm not. I was going to put a bit of foreground on here, but actually I don't think I'm going to bother now. I think it might distract. I was going to just put some foliage in the foreground, but I don't know. I don't think it needs it, so I'm tempted just to leave it as it is. I'm fairly happy with it. Of course, I'm never 100% happy with anything that I do, but for now, I'm going to leave it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. It's not exactly as I wanted it to turn out. I said at the beginning of the video it was going to be very loose paintwork, very loose brush strokes. I even showed a bunch of brushes that I wanted to stick to, and needless to say, that did not happen. I do get a bit OCD when it comes to the painting, and particularly the detail. And I think the worst thing is, because it's only a small canvas and I'm working like this, you can spot every little flaw and every detail, and I do like to get it right. So, but I'm pleased with what I've done, I think.